see here, there is this screen window. So whatever variable you declare here, it will appear under on the workspace. Then whatever files of Matlab you have here, they will appear here. Okay, yeah, so these are like live script, there is live new script, there is this if you want to open a new file or you want to start a new project, Simulink, it has a lot of things. Okay, yeah. So how do we get started? So like here we can just start. So first of all, you need to know some basics about matrices. So matrices, for you to get the inverse, you need to know there is a formula for the inverse of the matrix, where if you multiply the inverse of the matrix by its identity, you're going to get the matrix. Okay, or the matrix, the given matrix, if you multiply it with the inverse or its inverse, you get the identity. Okay, so Matlab only solves matrix which are in the ones which are called square matrix. Okay, so square matrix, the number of rows and the number of columns has to be equal. So it can only be 3 by 3, 4 by 4, 5 by 5, 6 by 6, 7 by 7, 8 by 8, 2 by 2, like that. You can't solve, it doesn't solve like inverse of matrices, for example. 3 by 2, it won't solve. It was only designed to solve 3 by 3 matrices. Okay, so without wasting your time, let's get straight into it. So like I have said, so there is script, live script, function, live function, class T. Okay, so if you click on new live function, it's same as you are opening the editor. Okay, so mostly the editor is a tool which you can edit a let's say you're writing a script, you'll be able to edit. So like in the live, like in the Matlab, the Matlab window itself, if you've made a mistake somewhere when writing, you can't go back and change. Okay, but in the editor you can change. So no wonder you go to live editor. So you live script, new live script here. So you need to open the editor. This is the editor. Then here you can rename it. Yeah, you can change the name, you can do everything. So now in this window, so how do you comment? You also have to know the basic functionality. So if you want to comment, so a comment is something which is just used to, let me say, the program, when you run it, it won't run this line. It will skip it because it knows that, oh, these are just instructions. So maybe you are writing a program and sending it to your friend. So you put comments like explanations that, oh, here the code will do this. Here it will do this. Okay, so the percent sign. So this program illustrates how to calculate the inverse. Okay, the inv. So like I've said, you can only calculate the inverse of a square matrix. That's the only thing which Matlab can do. It doesn't recognize other formats. Okay, so here you declare variables. So now let's say A, this is our matrix A. Okay, so for matrices you use square brackets. So you use square brackets. So we are going to calculate the inverse of a 3 by 3 matrix. So we'll just come up with numbers like 1. Okay, so there are two ways of specifying matrices. So like you can write 1 then space 2 space 3. Okay, so meaning this is your first what, this is your first row, so it automatically it knows that. Okay, so row 1 there is 1 2 3. Okay, then space, you come to the second row, you have -2, let's say -3 space -9. Okay, like that. You go to the next, so it's a 3 by 3. Okay, so 10, okay, let's say 12, let's say 13. Okay, okay, like this. I think we're done. Like this, we're done. So if you don't want, because when you click, you just click enter here, this will come, will display. But if you don't want a function to run, or suppressing the function, you want it to run when you want, so you can just put, you can put semicolon at the end. Okay, so let's see now. If you have this function, this is our function. So now, first of all, before you run it, you have to you need to save it first. Yeah, because like this, you can't run it without saving. Okay, you can't run it can't run without what, saving. Okay, so okay, so you can see here on this ribbon here, there is save here. Okay, or Control S is same as Microsoft Word. You can save it. Okay, so you can save, let's say inverse. Okay, like that, save. So we have our matrix here saved. Okay, so you can also see there are also other options here, like even here save is there. Okay, you can even print the script. Okay, so now we are here, we try to run this file. Let's see what happens when you run. Okay, so you can see now, after clicking run, you can see that there is a new variable here, a. So we have a variable a, which we have declared. So this is called declaring a variable. Okay, so we have given it something. You can declare an equation. Okay, but in this case we are using matrices. Okay, so now this is our matrix A. Next, we need to declare matrix B. So matrix B, what should matrix B be? We need to know. Okay, so matrix B, we want to find the inverse of this matrix. So we'll say, so this is the function. Okay, this is the matrix A. It's showing you this, you have this column, you have this row, you have this row, you have this row. Okay, yeah. So now, let's now say we declare another variable B. B is equals to what? So B, we want it to be the inverse of A. Okay, so there are two ways of calculating the inverse of a matrix. So there is a function called inv. You use the function inv. Okay, so this means inverse. So B should equal the inverse of A. This is what we want. We want B, we assign the matrix the inverse of A to B. Okay, so if you run this, you will see that there is an inverse of B. B has already solved. That's the inverse of A. Just like that. Very simple clicks. Instead of finding the manual way of doing it, like you find scalars, okay, you try to come up with rows, yeah, all that stuff. So in Matlab, you can just declare it in just within 2 clicks. you are done. So how do we know now that, okay, this is correct? How do you know? So you can prove. We know a mathematical identity. We know. Okay, so let's say C. Declare another variable. C is A. So multiplication, we use star in Matlab. So C is A multiplied by B. So a matrix multiplied by its inverse, it will give you what? An identity. So an identity, it will give you an identity of a 3 by 3, meaning you have ones in the diagonal. Okay. Yeah. So okay. So these it will even show you if there is something you're missing. So it's saying if A so B can slower or less accurate than. Okay, so let's see now. So now we have declared our variables. We can now close this. So this is the editor. Well, like I was telling you that you can always come back to the editor. In the editor, when you make a mistake, like here you want to change a number, here you can change it, but in the actual window you can't do that. Okay, so you see what I'm talking about. So let's close the editor now. You want to save? Okay, save, yes. So here, when we come to our window now, when we say A and click, okay, it will display now. Okay, A, this is your matrix. Okay, B to show you again, this is the inverse. Okay, C, you can see that C, you have ones in the diagonal. Okay, you have ones in the diagonal. So meaning this is the correct inverse of what? A matrix. So this is how you calculate the inverse of a matrix. First, we declared the matrix A. Then we used inv. So now let's try to use CLC. So CLC is just cleaning the screen. Okay. So now let's say we try to use another method of calculating the inverse. Okay. So let's say we have a matrix A. Okay, we have a matrix A, and we want to calculate the inverse. You know the inverse is just A power negative 1. Okay, A power negative 1. That's the inverse. So you can say A. So power on number 6 on your keyboard, you see something like I don't know how they call this. Okay, so something that is an arrow. That's what you use for powers. So you say A to the power negative 1. So this also is the same as if you don't want to use the inv. Okay, so let's say we give this to D. Say D equals to this. If you click enter, you get this one. So let's now compare. We have already calculated the inverse. We already calculated the inverse. The inverse, we said B. So let's call out B now and compare. So you will see that whether you use the power negative 1 or you use the inv, they give you the same answer. Okay, so that's how you calculate the inverse of the matrix. You can use the inv, the short form of inverse, INV, or you can use power negative 1. You still get the same answer. So again, you need to know that the inverse of the matrix multiplied by the matrix itself, it has to give you the identity. So an identity is a matrix which has ones in the diagonal. Okay, yeah, so this is just briefly how you can calculate the inverse of a matrix. Next, I'll cover how to solve equations. Okay, how do you solve linear equations using Matlab? Okay, so this is basically the introduction. Okay, so there are a lot of things which Matlab can do. Let me just clean the screen. Okay, So there are a lot of things which Matlab can do. Okay, we will explore most of these things. Yeah, but if you're not sure of something, you can always type on the screen help. For example, we don't know what this inv, how to implement this. You just say help inv, and you click enter. Matlab will give you. Inv is the inverse of, is a matrix inverse. Okay, this Matlab function computes the inverse of the square matrix. Okay, so like I said, the square matrix is a matrix with same number of rows and same number of columns. Okay, so you can have this to give you examples. So you can click here if you want example to take you to the internet, show you how to implement all these functions. Okay, so it has even opened here, so it's still loading. Okay, so it's showing you that okay, X is this matrix, the inverse. So how you use the inverse, you just say Y in X. This is what we were doing. You can check the results. Okay, so this is what we were doing. You need to find, it has to have, give you an identity. Okay, so these are the ones of the things which you can do with Matlab. So if you're not sure, you can just use a help. Okay, so help, if you want, you don't know how to multiply, you can just help this symbol, you don't know how to use it, then you click enter, it will show you that matrix power. So it's telling you that that is a power and how to use it and everything. Okay, so this is so whatever you don't understand, you can always just click on help. So help, let's say this, what does it mean in Matlab? Okay, it will always give you that. So you can also consult if you don't know. Okay, if you are new to Matlab, you can use ChatGPT, you can use all these other softwares like Perplexity, you can use it. Okay, so Perplexity, so you can use okay, ChatGPT. Let me just use ChatGPT. So ChatGPT, if you just come to ChatGPT, then you type how to implement okay, let's say multiplication. So it will give you a simple question on how, it will give you a simple script on how you can multiply. Okay, you can copy the script and run it in Matlab or everything. This is how you have to learn this. By this, doing this, you even learn quicker. So whatever you have, there are all these AIs which you can just browse through, learn how to use it. Okay, like that. Okay, so thank you. I think we'll end here for today. Have a blessed evening.